Hey, I tell you what, here's something. I'm wrong. And you know what? You're wrong too. And you know what else? Maybe everybody is wrong. Well, I tell you today, we're going to look at why being wrong is the most important economic skill you are going to learn. This is the art of being wrong well, okay? So we're going to try to turn things that are wrong into things that are right. Okay? Now, let's think about this. All right, here we go. We know John Maynard Keynes. All right, stick with me. We know John Maynard Keynes, one of the greatest economists of the 20th century. Proudly presented by Red Bull. Not really. One of the greatest economists of the 20th century. He predicted that by 2030, no one would need to work more than 15 hours a week. I'm still waiting on that one. Milton Friedman, the Nobel Prize winner, the architect of modern monetary policy, he spent decades insisting that central banks can always control inflation just through money supply alone. In 2021, we would probably like to have a word. All right. Then there's the entire economics profession, the whole lot, from 2028. Sorry, not 2028, from 2008. That was the year the global financial system nearly collapsed. That was the year that the Queen of England walked into the London School of Economics and asked the assembled professors, why did nobody see it coming? Nobody had a good answer. Here's what I want to tell you. Here's what I want you to notice. Every single one of those economists is considered great, brilliant, foundational, and they were also spectacularly wrong about major things. What does that tell us about economics education? What does that tell us about what we should actually be doing? All right, so here's the core argument. Listen to this. Economics is about prediction under uncertainty, right? Here's the honest truth. Our economics as a discipline. Economics is not a hard science. It doesn't produce laws like gravity that will hold in every context, every time, without exception. Okay? Feel free to debate with me about the gravity one. Economics is the study of humans and our behavior in a system of scarcity. As humans, you may have noticed, we're complicated, we're contradictory, and we're frequently irrational. Okay, you just have to look at me. All right? The systems they create are even more complicated, and those systems interact with technology, politics, the climate, culture, psychology, and each other in ways that cannot be fully modeled. So prediction in economics is always probabilistic. It's always conditional. It's always depending on assumptions that may or may not hold. The goal of your economics education then shouldn't be to make you a better predictor. It should be to make you a better reasoner under uncertainty or uncertain conditions. Somebody who can form calibrated beliefs, update them when evidence arrives, and distinguish between I reasoned badly and the world surprised everyone. Those are different things, and the difference really matters, and it matters enormously. So let's try this in your classroom. Build your own prediction market. It's an experiment. You can run this, okay? At the start of your term, everyone in the class makes 3 economic predictions. The inflation rate in 6 months, the direction of unemployment, what the central bank is going to do at its next meeting. You write them all down, okay, with your reasoning, and you seal it up in an envelope, metaphorically speaking. At the end of the term, you open the envelope. And here's the crucial bit. You're not rewarding who was right. You reward who updated their views most intelligently when new evidence arrived. Because here's the thing. If you predicted that inflation would fall and it fell, that might just mean you got lucky. It might mean your model happened to work for that particular case at that particular moment. But if you predicted inflation would fall, then new data came in showing you energy prices spiking, supply chains disrupted, and you updated your prediction and explained why. That's really important reasoning. That's calibrated thinking. That's the skill. That is what the professional forecasters at places like Metaculus, am I saying it right? Metaculus, actually do. They're not predicting the future. They are managing their uncertainty about it in real time with intellectual honesty. It's a learned skill. And your economics class is the perfect place to learn it. All right, what else can we do? Here we go. Practical things you can do right now to build that skill. Each one's only going to take you maybe 10 minutes. Each one directly applies in your exams. Number 1, 5-minute model autopsies. Pick any event, economic event, over the last 5 years, find an economist who predicted the opposite of what happened. Read why they predicted it. Now ask, what did the model miss? What assumption was broken? What would the model have needed to include in order to get it right? You're not criticizing the economist. You are learning to read models critically. And that is the most valuable economic skill that there is. In the IB exam, that's literally what evaluate using economic theory means. The autopsy is the evaluation. Number 2, what we call a steel man exercise. I know, man of steel. All right? Write an economics essay. Spend 5 minutes writing the strongest possible argument against your position. Not a weak version that you can knock down later, the actual best case for the opposing view, with economic theory, with real examples, with the kind of argument that if you're honest, you can see the merit of. Write the essay, address that argument directly. Don't ignore it, engage with it, and explain why your position still holds. Your argumentation will immediately become more sophisticated. Your examiner notices that. Your marks will reflect it. Here we go, number 3, the unknown variable. Any time that you are looking at an economic case study, an article, data, policy claim, stop and ask yourself this one question. What is the most important thing that we don't know that would actually change our answer? In any analysis of a government stimulus spending, what's the counterfactual? What would have happened without it? You don't know. Neither does anybody else. That is the unknown variable. In any analysis, say a minimum wage increase, what is the actual elasticity of labour demand in that particular market? Maybe there are some published estimates. Maybe those published estimates vary quite wildly. That's an unknown variable. Systems thinking designed as a question and a guaranteed source of evaluation marks, whether you're looking at IB or IGCSE. 3 interventions, maybe 5 minutes each. Try them all this week, okay? Here's the payoff. Let's be precise about this just for one moment. Whether you are looking for IB or IGCSE marks and the mark scheme says evaluate, this is what it's asking you to do. What are the conditions under which this model works? Where does it break down? And what does that evidence suggest? What is it that we don't know? What is the strongest counter-argument, and how do you address that argument? Students who might score a 7 for IB economics, they're not the ones who memorize the most. They're the ones who are reasoning the most carefully about what the models mean and where they fail. Being wrong well, updating your views, questioning your assumptions, articulating uncertainty clearly. This is a high mark skill. Right? It's not a distraction from exam prep. It is what separates the 6 mark from the 7. Build the habit. The marks follow. Right? Every great economist has been spectacularly wrong about something major. Keynes, Friedman, and the entire profession in 2008. So our goal isn't to avoid being wrong. It's to be wrong, but in ways that teach you something. To update your opinions, to improve, to stay intellectually honest when the evidence doesn't go your way. That's not failure. That's how knowledge actually works. All right? I'm David. I'm otherwise known as Econ Teach NZ. This is Econ Disrupted. Drop me a comment. What is the one most spectacularly wrong economic prediction you have come across? Let's see if we can build a Hall of Fame. Come on, like, comment, subscribe. Next week, maybe we'll look at this in even bigger details. Or maybe in the comments you tell me something else that you want covered. All right? Maybe you have found in the comments the most spectacular economic prediction failure that you know. Who predicted it and what went wrong? Thank you very much for listening. Hei kōrera, have a fantastic day.